Good record. Okay, hi guys. I'm Alan and Sebastian from Medical Faculty 102, and I'll be talking about Catherine the Great. Catherine the Great was recognized worldwide as a noteworthy historical figure. Catherine the Great was one of the most prominent ruler of Russia and a figure deserving of admiration. During her rule from 1762 to 1796, the Russian Empress Catherine the second made such progress in political power that it's hard to be improved. Find similar examples in the world history. She expanded the territory of Russian Empire and improved its administration. Many historians associated her as a significant event trends to Russia expanding world role. Though she always rejected appealing the great it endured. She was often compared to the Peter the Great. She reformed the Russians gradually and calmly finished what Peter had done forcefully. Prince Pithio, like in early age, her name Sophia Frederica Augustia was born in Germany in the city of Stenen in Persian Crimea on 2nd May 1729 into a family of Christian Augustus, the Prince of Anhalt Zerbst. She spent her youth, which she always remembered with pleasure, in an atmosphere of intelligence, passion for her knowledge, and good humor, but also austerity. Her father was very religious and strict. He enjoyed the title of prince, but he was also commanding officer and a remnant of the Persian army. Catherine's mother, Princess Joanna Elizabeth of Holstein-Gottorp, was herself willed. She organized from her family of Holstein-Gottorp and was related to a monarch of Persia, Denmark, and Sweden. She brought Catherine up into a severe manner. Lady Catherine herself recalled that was always ready to slap in the face from her mother. Princess Sophie spent her childhood in Seton and Zerbets. Then we know about marriage and the heir of Russian throne. In 1743, she was introduced to the Lutheran Church and desire of her mother, through which she easily changed her religion into Russian Orthodox faith. Right before her marriage to the Russian Prince Peter, her parents were very concerned of that their daughter marry and make a good match. In 1744, Catherine's mother received an invitation from the Empress Elizabeth of Russia to visit the country with her daughter, which meant she was planning to marry the heir of the Russian throne, Peter, to Catherine. So Catherine happily met her husband to be, who was one of her cousin. He was only 11 when they were introduced, but he was already a reputation from her cousin, but but was ready to obey her parents' decision. Moreover, she realized that marrying the heir of the Russian throne would open the door for the most brilliant lives, so she coveted to the young, ambitious princess. Sophie and her mother made a journey to Russia in the winter of 1744, where she was converted into Orthodoxy and renamed Catherine. She was 1 year younger than Peter Petrovich, the nephew of Elizabeth. Then they reigned the monarch of Russia. The marriage was decided upon their respective families. The two were absolutely incompatible with each other. Still, Catherine tried and kept about their appearance in front of the court and the patience with her silly and hysteric husband, as long as such a presence severed her ambitious purpose. Then, although love was an important part of Catherine's life, it did not overshadow her everlasting learning process of political interest. A sharp, writer and educated young woman, she read widely, particularly in French, which at that time the first language of educated European. She liked novels, played verses, and was particularly interested in writing the major figures of French Enlightenment and Detroit and Voltaire. Thank you. And next topic will be continued by my friend Bhakti.
Thank you, Alan. Hello guys, myself Bhakti Khandekar from Group 102 and my topic is Peter the Great. Peter the Great or Peter Alexeyevich was born on June 9, 1672. He ruled the Tsardom of Russia and later the whole Russian Empire. He single-handedly moved Russia from a medieval, isolated culture to a major European power. He developed modern military and navy. Peter was able to move his society towards the European culture by force of his will. But much of his reforms were against the grain and tradition of Russian people. Even so, Peter forced Russia onto the European stage. He also built his cities and factories on the back of peasants' labor. His style was often crude, rough, and even cruel. Many of his reforms conflicted with the traditional nobility, but he was relentless and forceful. His reforms did not outlast it for a long time. One of his sons was caught up in the conflict caused by his reforms and lost his life to his father's wrath and tortures. He went to Europe to learn new things, but his tour was cut short by a revolt of States. By the time he had returned to Moscow, the revolt was suppressed and the soldiers forced him to bend knees. But he refused and reformed back against them. Peter, described as handsome and a man with unusual physical strength, was about 2 meters in height. Unlike the other Russian czars, he didn't shy away from hard physical labor and enjoyed a simple lifestyle. Peter's personality and legacy have been the source of much debate. He has left his large imprint on Russian history, science, culture, and foreign policy. But critics believe the changes were too brutal and costly to Russian people. Moreover, the critics argue Russia was exposed to too much foreign influences which replaced ancient ways and tradition. Yet, as the Russians speak of cutting down window through Europe, which is synonymous with breakthrough, they are repeating Peter's mantras. So this is the end of my topic, and the next will be continued by my friend Bhavika. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhakti. My name is Bhavika Paryani and I'm from Group 102 and my topic is Ivan Kulibin. Ivan Kulibin was a Russian inventor whose name has become synonymous with self-taught and inventors and people keen on mechanics on engineering. Kulibin was born in a merchant family in the town of Nizhny Novgorod. A local passmate and taught him to read, write, and count, and this was the only education he received aside from his own effort to teach himself. His father, Peter Kulibin, wanted him to know a merchant and accordingly made him work as a vendor. But the young Kulibin was more interested in mechanics and reading than the family business. He turned his room into a workshop, made mechanical toys and tools for the household and for a sale, and dreamed about becoming an engineer. Peter Kulubin did not approve of his son's unusual hobby as mechanics had nothing to do with floor trading, but he changed his mind when Ivan proved his talent by designing a hydraulic machine to turn the plant filled water basin in Kulubin's garden into a running water pond where a fish could live and breed. After that, in 1791, Kulubin was the son of a young officer and a Neptune who lost his leg in the Russian-Turkish War. The traumatic accident made him give him his military career and dreams of his happy marriage. Kulubin decided to help his new friend and design a mechanical leg for Neptune. According to his notes, his officer quickly learned how to use it and even how to walk in without a stick. Soon, Neptune returned to military service in 1812 and he took part in the war against Napoleon and was eventually promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel. After that, um, inspired by his success, Kulubin kept working in this field and 1794 he made a prosthetic leg for Welkim Zumov, the brother of Catherine II, for a favorite at the time. After the Kulbin had improved the technology, when Kulbin sent his draft to the models to invention of Academy of Medicine and Surgery, the mechanical legs was considered innovative and approved by the medics. Unfortunately, in 1800, while Kulbin was still working to improve his process, an Englishman named Port patented a similar one. Some historians say the technology had been broken. After death in 1791, Kulibin decided a foot-powered cart, which would be considered as a prototype of an automobile. After that, he did not gain any popularity and was not mass-produced. In 1793, he designed an elevator for the Winter Palace. Some element of his mechanics were used in the contemporary elevators. Unlike the foot-powered cart, the lifting armchair was a great source of entertainment for Catherine and courtier and were the fireworks Culbin organized for a royal party. The inventor wrote many articles about this. In 1801, Kulubin quit his job in the academy and returned to his hometown. There, living by the Volga River, he continued his study and created a water walker, a vessel which could go against the river current using the power of the stream to move. The first ship of this kind successfully passed all its tests, though had some significant drawbacks and was expensive to build and maintain. The draft of the water designs meet their fate buried in the drawers of the Nizhny Novgorod bureaucrats. At the end of the life, Kulibin, as a main other inventors of the past, become obsessed by the idea of the perpetuum mobile on a perpetual motion machine. He spent all his money attempting to build one and died in poverty. He was married 3 times and had 11 children, but one of them followed in his footsteps and became an inventor. However, his ideas inspired many other scientists, and his work served as a prototypes for many creations designed long after his death. Thank you. My next topic will be continued by my friend.
Hello friends, myself Rishikesh Moite. Today I am going to tell you some information about Mikhail Lomonosov. So friends, Mikhail Vasilievich Lomonosov was a Russian polymath, a scientist and writer who made important contributions to literature, education, and science. He was born on 19 November 1711 in the village of Nishanitskaya in Archangelgorod Governorate in the north of Russia. In 1730, at 19, Lomonosov went to Moscow on foot because he was determined to study science. He also made substantial contributions to the natural sciences, reorganized the St. Petersburg Imperial Academy of Sciences, established in Moscow, the university that today bears his name, and created the first colored glass mosaics in Russia. The atmosphere in Venus was discovered for the first time by the Russian scientist Mikhail Lomonosov at the St. Petersburg Observatory in 1716. Lomonosov detected the refraction of solar rays while observing the transit of planets across the disk of the sun. By the profession, he was also a great poet. I am having some interesting quotes by Mikhail Lomonosov. In like in general, the bigger a mountain, the older it is. The biggest mountain were built before any other because when they were built, there was incomparably more flammable material within the earth. Over the many thousands of years that have passed, the quantity of flammable material has doubtless decreased. Second, the chemistry do penetrate with vision, keen the bowels of earth, reveal what treasure Russia hides there. In this way, he contributed a lot in every field. Mikhail Lomonosov, a very great personality, died on 15 April 1765 at St. Petersburg, Russia. Thank you, friends.